Um, yeah, welcome back everybody. Welcome back to the moth-hawk project, and today we're gonna be working further on the wood texturing, and then hopefully, we also can do the coloring. But I have no high hopes for that. But anyway, let's get started on this bad boy, shall we? So yeah, as you can see, the downward placing. Yeah, there you go. I actually have been well, you cannot see it, but I have actually been busy trying to do the thing that I actually wanted to do. That's why it's already again green and yellow and all that stuff. But I tried to do how do you say this? Alright, you have one picture, but you're gonna be drawing the picture multiple times into different poses, different ways, so that you have different poses, and therefore you have a full understanding what is going on, which is quite great. And I must say I'm very happy how far I'm already at that. I'm currently figuring out how to get the effect correct, but I think I already have managed the end result of it, so that will be fixed tonight once I'm working on it again. But first I need to do this, then I need to do walking, and then I can return to artwork, because it's important. It's not the only artwork I'm working on instead of the moth-hawk project itself. So yeah, I hope everybody had a lovely day today. Today actually was pretty hot. That is because of all the moisture here, which is quite problematic. Don't get me wrong, the amount of moisture that actually is released into the air is ridiculous, which means that you have thunderstorms and rainstorms really make things unbearable at night. But so far, it has been dry, which is actually quite nice. I was hoping that it would be more, but no. The amount of dry air that actually is in the air is doable today, so I'm very happy upon it. I also realized that I have how do you say this? Big giant metal plates that I can pull down, so that the amount of sunlight in my room is tempered, so it is less. Also, how do you say this? Also, I have been working on my writing, and I finally finished it up, so that's lovely. So that I can now finally continue on reading it out loud, and then making sure that my voice is correctly done, and then I have the full short story correctly, because then I know how to, and then I know exactly what is gonna be going on there. Alright, so yeah, it's lovely to see how much stuff I actually can pull off in 1 week. It's always great to have a lot of things going on, and then doing those things while working on some other stuff. Same goes for the drawing. I wanted to have this drawing to be done, therefore I need to work on it. Same goes with the moth-hawk project. I actually need to work on it to get a better result of it. Of course, most things that are from the moth-hawk project are probably a lot of things that are very difficult to do, or they cause a lot of trouble. For instance, the moth-hawk project has a problem that it is a big project, yes, and it has a lot of texturing that needs to be done before I can go from point A to point B, especially with the background, which is a very annoying thing to have. Also, it is a big file, and the files that I've been working on lately that are not a moth-hawk project are tiny files, so I am trying to I'm trying to make sure that I'm not overdoing all the stuff that the moth-hawk project is doing. So I'm trying to keep myself keeping myself preoccupied. No, keeping myself well, preventing myself from making things too big, too large of a file by reusing certain types of, layers and then use them in the same place. Which is really handy dandy if you want to know how to do stuff properly. And so far everything is going well. I'm hoping that I hope that tomorrow will have my bird done. That means that I have then finally fixed my last part of the bird, and then I will have another card that is able to do stuff. Of course, now it's not yet done because of all the special effects that are not fully finished, which gives the bird a little bit of a strange look. Now I just picked up a phoenix just because I wanted to draw a phoenix, and I was like, well, you know what, phoenix is doable to draw in a cartoonish type of style. So after that drawing is done, I probably will be working on another drawing. Once the phoenix part is done, I will be starting a new drawing, and then I can then work on from there. The idea here is that I'm using a reference that I'm going to be creating by the story itself, and then use that reference to use the picture reference to develop even more character inside of it, so I can then know, like, oh well, that's how it looks and that's how it feels. So a lot of stuff can then be fixed while writing a story. I don't know. Sounds not reasonable, but it's reasonable in my head, so I thought, like, why don't I give it a try? Anyhow, so the amount of stuff I did right now already is pretty far. It's just drawing wood texture, but it's still a lot of work. And like with the Phoenix drawing, you see instantly the amount of effort you put into it, so you can almost instantly go from point A to point B, and then from point B to point C, and then you're almost done, and then you only need to do 2 more things, and then probably it's fixed. Well, at the moth-hawk project, it is far, slower. The speed and the progress you make with the drawing, the amount of stuff you need to do to get from point A to point B, it takes time and patience. Well, the Phoenix is like, boom, there you go, you have your stuff, be happy and enjoy your candy. And I'm like, oh well, thank you. So it is good that is actually a thing that can happen, but it is a shame that I cannot work faster. I'm trying to improve. Don't get me wrong. Normally this will take even longer than before, but it's just textures, creating hand-drawn textures is like, ooh. It really causes your hand and your poles. It will really cause your hand to have a little bit of problematical issues if you do it for too long. I know that because I already have felt it multiple times while drawing this. So yeah, what I'm gonna be trying after this drawing, it's probably not. I'm gonna be trying to use the approach I did with the drawing that I'm not yet finished, because it is such a fucking big problem. It's such a big drawing. Is gonna be trying to improve upon my layering skills, so making sure that I'm not overusing the layers. So reducing the file size. Let's put it that way. And if I'm able to do that, well, we're gonna be a happy person, because file sizes are important. in most cases. So yeah, I'm gonna be trying to improve upon that, and hopefully, we will get where we want to go. For now, we're keeping to the part that we need to do. So these files are a little bit bigger than normal, but I'm trying to keep it at a minimum, yes, minimum, instead of having these big giant files that are everywhere. Like the messy artist I am when it comes to these things. Order is a thing that is very difficult for me to attain once I'm doing the drawing parts. I like to have order in my drawings, yes, true, but I don't like. But the way how I do things is either it is backwards, either it's backwards, or it will create a lot of tension between the drawing itself. So yeah, the writing that I do normally is just to improve on my own English, to get better at it, because it's important. You want to know how to draw, you want to know how to write English, because your native language really sucks at it, and you don't want to deal with that, because native language is like, ugh, it's a barbarism. It's a very easy language to understand and write, and then you realize, like, oh my god, if I would write a book with this, then no way, nobody is gonna be reading this, or nobody's gonna be knowing what the hell I just said, because of all the grammatical issues that occur in my language. It's like, it's insane how many stuff you need to think and know before you even can write it. Because we have like strange rules when it comes to certain types of words, certain types of sentences, which makes things a little bit tricky. And I don't want to deal with that when I'm a big giant dyslexic person who doesn't give a shit what he writes. Well, I care what I write. I just care that it is readable. I don't care if it is like badly grammatical bad. As long as the story is correct, then yes, then that is good enough for me. And I try to change that mentality to make sure that everything is readable and everybody can see what the hell I'm writing, instead of only me, which is a massive improvement. Okay, success. So yeah, it is it's a very good thing that I'm trying to do stuff like that. So once we are able to draw the last bits of the texture on the wood, we can then finalize it with improving the quality of the texture. And then once the improved texture is done, we can then see where we're gonna land that ship. The main issue that I'm having now currently, it's like it's a very slow progress. It's a very slow progress upon making this wood look like wood, because we're dealing with a lot of stuff in the meantime, where like I'm already having like things in my mind, like, oh no, I need to remember when I do this, I need to do that, or remember I need to do this, I need to do that. And it makes sometimes things like drawing very confusing when you are already seeing ahead where it's all going to be leading to, and you want to make sure that you're not causing too much of a trouble into it. For instance, with the bird picture that I did today, I came to the conclusion that I'm not supposed to go for the flaming eye things outlines. There you go. If I would do that, then it would cause me to lose a lot of detail into the eyes itself. So what I'm probably going to be doing there with the flame eyes is probably going to be going for, not a weakened version, but a lessened version. A a lessened yeah. Yep. A lessened version. Yeah. A lessened version of it. So I will reduce the amount of drawing strokes on it to make it more look like it is on fire, being really pissed and all that stuff. Because that's what the bird looks like. He wants to, well, the bird is really pissed at, about something because, he's fired up. He's done with the shit that people throw at him. He is done with all the stuff he did. Somebody threw a pie at his face and now he's angry. Something like that, I don't know. But, yeah. He's done with the jokes and he's gonna go full serious mode. So, that's what I'm drawing. That's what I have been drawing with that thing. And, so far, it looks good. Looks good. It's not the best. Don't get me wrong, it's not the best. But we did not aim for the best. We aimed for creating the same character multiple times. So I did it once, two, twice. I did it 3 times already. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. I draw it already 3 times. And this is then the 4th time I drew the character. And therefore, I I decisively made the character correctly. Of course, the character itself, the bird, it doesn't matter if the bird is not there or wherever it is. It just means that I was able to draw this bird in this particular style multiple times in the same style, with applying the same effect 4 times. So I was able to apply the effect 4 times. Therefore, I'm able to apply it a 5th time, a 7th time. The drawing makes me have the know-how how to get from point A to point B, and the drawing will also relieve me of the problems that I had. Like, for instance, the bird had multiple times I had how do I do this? How do I get this bird to the front ground? It still proved challenging, alright? There were some parts of the bird that were challenging to begin with. And by, making sure that I have those challenges done, challenging myself and then have those challenges being won by me, I am able to, be very happy. I can sleep now well, that kind of things. It's like, oh my god, I did this. I, of all the people, did this. And then, I will be a very happy person. Of course, the drawing still has some issues, some problems, but those problems are fixed later on. Because I learned how to create these drawings, and then I can then move on to the next, and then to the next part, and then to the next step. So making these 4 times the same creature is like, you draw this creature and you draw it 4 times. That means that you can draw it multiple times. If you can draw it more than 4 times, it means that you can draw it multiple times. Somewhere in a comic, somewhere on a movie script, whatever, you can draw it. You can daydream almost how this character looks. You know how it looks, you know how it acts, you know how to divide the parts of the character that makes it distinguishedly that character. I know that. I know exactly what it is. It's the big doodly eyes, the sharpened beak. That's almost like a pyramid, and the separation between the body and the legs, which is orange and red. Then also the feathers that have a glowing red around him whenever he is on fire. That is cool. So now I distinguish the character. Not its traits. It's more like distinguish the character on how the design looks. I know now that if I would add this character again into the drawing, I can then figure out oh well, how does he act? How does he feel like it? Or well, this fire right here doesn't make any sense because the character itself was like doing it like that. And that's how you do it. You just figure out stuff, look for answers, and then once you look for the answers, you probably, are almost done. I mean, it's not a big. It's a big part of, realization, a big part of discovery that you figure out like, oh well, if I draw this character like this, then well, next time I draw him like this, I can then implement this kind of behavior towards my drawing skills. I can then, impicitate on the drawing. I know now exactly where I need to go. I know now how I need to use that color scheme and how to draw fire on something. So if something is in flames, you can draw it like that. Which is amazing. I didn't know how to draw it in the first place, but now I know. So yeah, it's important that you realize like where things go and where things end. Like, for instance, if I would draw this drawing again, I have now no idea what I'm going to be drawing with it. I could send him up to give him a present, whatever, make him happy. Happy face. Yeah, sure, I can do that. But the idea was that I would have these different quotes, like firing up, which means that he's getting angry because that was the spell that was being used. So this guy was getting angry, and well, I found a way to implement that look into his eyes, into the feeling of him being very, very, very angry. Or getting very angry, let's put it that way. It's like, you have this person being like, oh my god, I could silly slap your fucking head in. And that's a thing that I succeeded in. I succeeded in making this character feel like he was about to slap somebody his head in. Because, he didn't get the joke, or the joke was called too many times. I don't know. Fuck it. But yeah, it is important that I learn how to do that. It's important that I was able to draw that emotion multiple times. Oh well, I was able to draw that emotion. I was able to give the creature the emotion that I wanted. So yeah, next time, once the next drawing I'm gonna be probably doing is gonna be a more complicated one, more delicate one. Of course, it all starts with baby steps again, because you need to design something, and then you go from the design to going from the design to another design, and from that design you go to another design. And once you are able to do multiple designs, you're probably good for life. I mean, obviously the amount of things you need to do to get from point A to point B is a lot. But if you want to improve, you need to accept that there are challenges that are, difficult. There are things that you cannot comprehend, or things that you cannot succeed in. But there are also challenges that you can win. Don't get me wrong. I really suck at some parts of the challenges. I suck at drawing people. Yes, but I'm getting there. I am getting towards the point that I'm able to draw them. It just takes time, it just takes effort, it just takes a lot of work and a lot of passion just to get from point A to point B. Of course, point A and point B might be different. They're still not the same. Like, for instance, this is the moth-hawk project. The moth-hawk project is just a project that is, for Hex Harper, and I just like to do this just because, I said I will do it, and I will do it nonetheless. I said that I will do it, and I said it would take a long time. Which it does. Because why? I wonder. It's a background. Yes, that's the main idea. That's the main reason why it is going to be taking long, because of the background. Which, people supposed to be thinking like, well, it's just a background. Why don't you make it simple? And then it's like, yes, but if I would make it simple, it would not be good. Because it won't look like, it won't feel like the same, it won't feel like the same art style as the moth-hawk. And you need to understand that if you want to make something, if you want to make a background, you need to make sure that it has the same art style as the rest of it, otherwise it feels out of place. And if it is feeling out of place, it won't feel nice. That's the main idea. And that's why I'm now currently also working on a background on the angry bird. But I'm like, yes, I have now the drawing. I still need to fix a couple of things, but once I'm done with that, I can then go to the how do you say again? Go to the background. But if you want to go to the background, that's gonna be a problem, because you're like, how do I do this? And this is where references are coming in. You just gonna be picking and choosing whatever you want, but always use some references to see like, Charlie here did it like that, or Harold did it like that. Well, don't mind me, Harold, but your idea of how to do it, I'm not gonna be stealing it. I'm just merely gonna borrow it for my own and then use my own style upon it. And that's how I'm gonna be doing it. I'm just gonna be looking at some of the backgrounds and think like, oh well, that looks doable. And that's the way I'm gonna be doing it as well. But of course, keeping in mind that I'm doing it in a way that it's not plagiarizing, because that's also important. That you always need to keep in mind that it's not always you, but it's always not always you and not always me. You just need to make sure that you're keeping on whatever you're doing, and then I don't like to copy and paste people's work, but I like to, implement their way into my way, and then go from my way to point A and to point B, which is important because you need references, and references are quite important indeed. So, right now, for instance, I'm trying to get the roots system up and running, making sure that the roots look like roots and act like roots and feel like roots. And sometimes, those roots might be looking different. Yes, but those roots are going to be looking quite good once I'm done with it. A lot of this work, a lot of these drawings take a time. They usually take a long time to finish, because my art style is too detailed. Well, I would say no. I would say there would be always a new way of doing things, but I like this art style. It is a very calming, very relaxing art style that I really like and enjoy. Of course, there are some people that might disagree with it, might be like, oh no, this is way too much. And I'm like, yes, for you it might be, but for me, no. This is just right. So yeah, making sure that I'm having these, root pods done, and we can go to the root itself. So, as you can see, we have now done it. We have now drew again some beautiful roots. Now we can look at, well, where's the color? Well, I don't know where the color is. Probably here. Oh, that's the line. It's not the one that we want. Well, look at that. We found the parts. Alright, we want this part. We want that. We want this color right here. Why do we want that color? Because that is the color that we want to begin with. So we're gonna be drawing on this, and then hopefully, we're gonna be able to do it properly. Not probably, properly. There you go, properly. Ugh. Words these days are very hard to do. Trust me, it's one of my hardest things to pronounce. Words. All right. So look at that. It already looks like, it already looks like a tree. How nice. Of course, we're not finished yet, but we're getting there. Well, now we're just going to be casually, removing the parts that, cause all this to happen. And now we're going to be reducing the size and slowly but steadily put the line to the edge. Because we want this tree to be looking like, a tree, and not like an amalgamation of many things. We want this to feel like roots. And the only way to do that is by adding we need to zoom in again. So yeah. And this is like, a casual bit of, very steady work that makes things very light in the end. Alright. Nice. So the main idea here is that we're going to be casually removing the, non-needed bits, and then, we're going to be moving upwards towards the part that we need to do. So yeah, drawing the tree is like a very important part of knowledge that I achieve. It is important that I know how to draw these trees and how to get from point A to point B with these trees. And the more I draw them, the more better I get to it. Because, expertise upon how you draw them in your own style it's a thing that gets natural over time. And that's why it's important to practice. Like, for instance, I like to practice upon drawing that bird. I did the bird, drew the bird 4 times, and, I got some funny results out of it. Congratulations on that end. Of course, the backgrounds were a really hard thing to do because, I never did a background. I never did. I actually never did. I always went for, it's just gonna be blank. Nobody wants to see a blank background. Don't get me wrong. If you go for like a trash background, like, I'm gonna draw like this. Shoop, 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 shoop. And then this is the background. And then, I'm gonna be using a bigger, and then I'm gonna be, putting the doll figure there, and it's sitting on a land with a tree like that. So, oh, that's a beautiful tree. And then, you have another bigger tree, which is like, a very strong tree. And then you have a sun right here with, all the lovely things, and it's raining apparently. Oh no, it's snowing. Oh, well, there you go. So yeah, that is a background that you can pick for. You can just pick one color of background. It's very basic, but I like to have some challenge in my background. I don't want to have like, you can design your own background by, looking at other people's background and how they did it. Or look at the artwork and then just, look at it and then figure out yourself like how the fuck did they did it. And that is always a very important idea. Because if you use the trial and error move, you're gonna get far. Normally, it's smarter to go for the I am smart. I know exactly what I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to be looking into bugs to see what happened. But the trial and error actually works really quickly. It's like, you know, it's a very overwhelming one, but it works. I always did it with my backgrounds. It's like, ah, yes, some people do it like that, some people look at like that, and I'm going to be doing it just like that, but I'm going to be changing it a little bit because I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like this. And then you have a different background. For instance, with the fire up version, I'm going to be going probably for a background that gives the effect of, you know, flying particles in the background going upwards, you know, because, you know, Super Saiyan mode, I don't know, but you get the point. I'm going to be going for that kind of approach because, you know, he's super pissed, so he's going to be going super duper scary, which in the game actually is true. You know, he is going super duper scary. The only downside is the game doesn't allow me to move the image up and down. Also, I hate it that the image is actually the text is not transparent, so you don't see the image in the transparent part. So if that would have been the case, things would have looked way better for the drawing itself. So technically I did not optimize the drawing for the text, which I already was afraid of to do so, but if I would have made my own game, then I would have definitely, if I would have made it into my own game, then yes, it would not have been a problem because I could edit it out of it. I could actually edit it in such a way that actually, if I would have loaded in the image would have appeared perfectly with no problems whatsoever, and then maybe, you know, have a card back which explains the whole stuff instead of having this problem, which is the main problem. So yeah, the amount of stuff I learned from just doing these little practicing drawings, no, not practicing, these little bits of drawing, I'm happy that I learned a lot from it. I'm very happy that, you know, learning from this actually increases the stuff I did. So the next thing I'm going to be doing, you know, is going to be probably this. So yeah, working on the moth-hawk project, it is really helpful for me. It helps me organize, it helps me relax, whatever. It also helps me figuring out stuff that I did not figure out in the earlier times. Like for instance, this right here. You want to draw, but you don't want to draw all over it. Nope. Hold on. I'm gonna be saving here because I'm actually done with the first color layer, and we're almost in 40 minutes in. So after the second layer, I'm gonna be calling it quits for today. But yeah, a lot of the ideas of, you know, doing the moth-hawk project, all the effects that are created, all the stuff I learned from it, it's priceless. It is actually priceless because it is not a waste of time, which is important. You know, you don't want to waste your time on drawing things and then not have anything to learn from it. There's always a thing to learn. Trust me. I learn a lot. And the more I learn, the more happier I get. Because, you know, learning is actually progression, and progression makes that you can make stuff that your mind is capable of doing so. So working towards that goal of, you know, achieving the goal that you want is very important. Like for instance, I like to do I like to work around with these, you know, with these roots, and you can already see that I'm giving these roots life. Of course, the life might not be the best of the best, but it does create the effect of knowing that they are roots, because, you know, all the swinging and all these side effects of the nerves that are all around this particular part of the wood. And the more I do this, the better I get it. And you know, once you finally get a hand of it, you figure out how to do it more properly. But of course, you know, there are always downsides to every single system you're using, how to progress upon your own artwork. You just need to find the one that you are liking. I like trial and error because, you know, learning is fun once you learn it yourself. It is not fun when somebody else is pushing you until you burned out. That is like, ugh. That is the worst case scenario of me not having fun. I tried it once, didn't like it, and I quit. It happened quite a while ago, actually. I actually went on a teaching how to draw, and I was like, "What? Do I need to do this? No, I don't want that. I want to draw this instead." And then the person said, "No, you can't." And I'm like, "Well, watch me." And then, you know, then you have a wrong person. Then you have the wrong person in your mind, because that is a thing that I like to do. I like to have the freedom to draw whatever I want, to learn from it. So if I want to draw a smiley, yes, sure, I can do that. I can make a lovely little Google smile, you know. Oh my god, that tongue is, oh my god. There you go, tongue is there. Cheese. I want to make a smiley. Well, I can make a smiley with a big giant nose, and then, you know, put a nose there, and then I have this nose right there, and I can make a mustache out of it. Yes, and then I can make it like, you know, a professor with a hat. Oh. So yeah, I like to have my freedom to how to learn how to draw things. There you go. You have a goofy professor with a very strange mustache, having his tongue pulled out, and then, you know, have a little sick, I don't know, and a bow tie. There you go. Easy. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it right there, just for a little bit. The limitation of me not being able to accept that I actually needed to do something else was the main reason why I quit. I was like, no, I don't want to be forced to do this. I don't want to be forced to, you know, just draw a circle. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to be drawing a circle. I'm going to be drawing a square. Because I was a very rebellious person back then. I still am. I'm a very goaty person. I don't like to, I'm very stubborn. That's the main issue. So yeah, I developed my own way of learning. It's like, ah yes, I want to draw this. And how are you going to do it? Well, time to use the magical wheel of trial and error. And oh boy, you need to have a lot of patience and a lot of waiting. A lot of waiting. Because, you know, you're probably going to be running low steam once you're finishing the end. It's like, oh my god, I need to do this, that, and that. My hat, I cannot take it anymore. And I'm like, well, if you take the baby steps, it will work. But everybody forgets the baby steps. If you do the baby steps, it always works. You just do one part after another, and then, you know, you get from point A to point B very slowly but steadily. And slowly and steadily always wins the race, regardless of whatever you did. If you had a quick start or a slow start, if you just do it slowly and steadily, you slowly will creep up towards your inner goal that you want. Like, for instance, I just wanted to draw that Phoenix person into an attack. I just wanted to draw that. Just wanted to draw the attacks and put it onto a little card, which I did. And that's how I did it. Actually, the amount of, you know, work I worked on it, well, you know, probably 3 weeks, I worked with it probably 3 weeks. After 3 weeks, I only worked on it a whole week. Well, you divided a week in 3 weeks, then, well, it's not really a loss, really. But yeah, the amount of stuff I learned from it was actually insane, because I now learn how to do backgrounds properly and how to create cool effects into the background, which is a thing. And I'm learning more how to use motion and filters. Even though, I never touched them, I never did. Well, I did once with the bow project, but most of the times I don't touch them. And now I do. Why do I use a filter instead of, using the blur tool? Because the blur tool can actually erase stuff, and you you always want to try to use the less destructive mean of working on a project. If you, because you don't work destructively, you can just Control Z and then, oh no, nothing happened. That is the idea. If you work destructively and you then have your limited amount of Control Zs, then, well, you're going to be stuck at Charlie having one eye and one eyebrow and then a very strange face, and you cannot continue backwards, where Charlie did have a good face and did have a mustache and had his 2 eyes in front of him, which is a problem. That's why I'm always trying to not do it the destructive way. Of course, I always will fall for the prey of being destructively working, so I always need to be double checking myself of like, oh, did I do it on auto layer? Yes. But of course that will cause the effect that I'm now currently working with, which is having too much layers, which you want to prevent. That is why I'm trying to teach myself to not do that. So, these drawings of the explosive chicken, for instance, only have 8 layers, and they're all divided by 3 maps. Oh no, 3 whole maps, that's a lot. Yes, but they are divided in 3 whole maps so that I can know where to look, and it is far more organized, and therefore, it's easier to see where your problem is, or want to fix a problem where you go to A, B, or C, instead of going to a whole list of death and then yes, I need to go to A, B, C 4 times 12 and then divide it through 4. I don't know, but yeah, it makes things a little bit more easier for me to understand where the hell I need to go to. Of course, that is just, the beginning of it. I'm trying to learn how to do it properly. And that is a thing that I'm learning right now. Even though, it sometimes doesn't maybe not feel like it, I'm still learning. Because I can see my progress. I can see the progress between A, B, and C. Even though, A might be different from C, and B might be different from A, you can still see the progress from A to C to D to F and to G, whatever. You can still see the progress, which is important. Yep. I'm going to be calling it here. That's sadly, but, don't want to overwork my hand too much. Alright, while this thing is saving up our glorious machine, while everything is saving up, and you can see, oh wait, it's Jerry, isn't it? Damn you, Jerry. I trust you that you were here. Well, Mr. Richman was here, and I forgot to remove him. I let him live too much. Anyway, so yeah. That is what I have done for today, I believe. Yeah, that's all for today. I hope you'll have enjoyed, and thanks all for watching, and I hope I'll see you all next time. Until then, I wish you all a lovely day, and well, I believe it is 5, right? Yep, 5, there you go. And I hope I'll see you all next time. Until then, bye!